Morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500 and welcome back to a one-off video. Today we are going to change a slave cylinder on this 1.2 500 clutch slave cylinder. Let me explain to you what the issues are. This is not my car. You may have seen this car before on a different channel if you follow other Fiat 500 channels. Let me explain what the issue is. So, as I say, not one of my cars. So this car was featured on another YouTube channel. It was sold to somebody a fair distance away from that channel. Now that person happens to be the daughter of someone who lives about half a mile up the road from me, and they've had problems with it. It's already gone back once. So what happened was when this was featured on the other channel, it had a dodgy gearbox, so it had the gearbox refurbished and I believe a new clutch, and it seemed to be okay, and then they reported back and said that they have an issue with the gear changing, low gears more than anything, but they were having an issue with gear changes, and the girl whose car it was, she had instances where she was at traffic lights, put it into first gear, pulled away from the traffic lights and couldn't get it out of gear. The only way they could get it out of gear was to turn the engine off, dip the clutch and then pull it out of gear and then restart the engine. Now, as I say, it went back and it had some adjustment done on the nuts on the gear change, and it was apparently okay. It came to light that the father of the girl lived near me, so I was asked if I would mind changing the slave cylinder. So that's what this video is going to be about, changing the slave cylinder. So I've sort of explained the symptoms to you. I got the car last night and I took it for about a 3-mile drive, uneventful, pretty much. But the half-mile drive that the dad drove to me, he said it done it all the time. Now the only issue I had when I got it home, I parked it outside, so I reversed back, and as I went to go into first to like pull into the parking space, it wouldn't quite go. And what I did notice that there wasn't a massive amount of pedal travel, but there was a little bit extra. I put my foot to the floorboard and it went in. So there has been questions over what this could be. I think all along it's probably the slave cylinder. So that's what I'm going to do today. That's what this video is going to be about. So to do that, if you don't know, or if you're experiencing symptoms yourself, or someone has told you that it's your slave cylinder, you want to have a go yourself or see what's involved, keep watching this video, and hopefully it will all be explained. There is an easy way to do it, and I have done other videos on this, but this is the main one because this is going to show it in detail. So that's the master cylinder. So the master cylinder also connects down there to the clutch pedal, and it comes up here, and then you've got that fluid pipe there, and that pushes fluid down the other thinner pipe, which goes all the way underneath the back, and it comes down underneath the chassis leg down here, where it joins to the another pipe which feeds the slave cylinder. If you don't know what the slave cylinder looks like, I'll show you in a minute. I've got to get the battery off. So to get the battery tray out, you've got to undo the terminals, take the battery terminals off, undo that 13mm bolt there, sorry, nut, lift the battery tray out, and there are three 13mm 2 bolts and a nut to take the tray out. You have to disconnect just here where the cables are connected to the actual thing, just so, and then it just lifts out, and then that gives us access to the cylinder. So let me set you up. We'll get this out, and then we'll come back and we'll show you what it's all about. Right, so that was it. You saw me getting that taken off. Right, so what we think it is the slave cylinder. So this is the slave cylinder. So you've got a cable down there, and you can see it. There's a curly cable down there, and that's the cable that joins here. and then that joins at underneath that chassis leg down there. You've got a join which has been changed. Now I don't really know. I don't really understand why it was ever changed, because there wasn't a fluid leak, so I'm not really quite sure why they did that. As you can see, it is quite old. It's probably the original. And what happens is when you put your foot on the clutch, it pushes that rod out, and that rod is attached to that lever, and that lever will move the clutch plate away, allowing you to then change gear. Now, if that rod is not pushing out properly, that will cause you problems changing gear. The other thing that it could possibly be is that connector here. I'm not convinced that is the case, but that is a possibility, because the gears themselves are changed fine. It seems to be the actual I think it's the lack of fluid that's pushing out. It doesn't squeak, which is often the symptom of this needing replacing, and that's sometimes the reason that people replace it. But there doesn't seem to be a massive amount of foot pedal travel, so this is why we're going to do this. So it's quite an easy job. Now there is a good hack stroke workaround on this, because what you're meant to do is, this is the new cylinder. So there's your windy thing, and underneath that yellow cap is one end of a metal connector. Now that metal connector connects to the pipe that comes from the other cylinder, the main master cylinder, and they join underneath, as I say, underneath that chassis leg. Now they are a weak point, and they do break, and they do make you leak. You lose your fluid, your clutch doesn't work, and you can't go anywhere. They can foul by dripping slightly. Eventually they will crack. The metal here cracks and leaks fluid, and eventually it just completely foul. So when one of these is broken, it's always advisable to change both, because these connections are really a one use. Once they've been disconnected, they don't really want to connect properly, they'll leak. You can buy kits to repair them, which is what's been done on it already. I can't show you that because I'm not jacking the car up or anything like that today, but that has already been done. And obviously I don't want to disturb that, so what you can do, which is what I always do, which is the hack, you see there, just there, we've got a little circlip, and we've got that little circlip down there. So what we do is we remove that circlip, and this pipe just pulls out. So we don't need to change the pipe. All we do is change the cylinder. It's as easy as that. So all we do is we unbolt it. So we undo two 13mm bolts. That will then lift off. We then take the circlip out, and at the same time, we quickly as we can put this one in. Now the rod on here, as you can see, has got a little bit of plastic around it. So what you do is once you've got that in, that's holding the rod in, because if you remove that, the rod will shoot out and you'll lose fluid. This comes already preloaded with fluid. So what we do is, once we take that one off, we take that out, and then we use the existing pipework and plug that back into the new one, put the circlip back in, and then we just get a knife or a pair of scissors and we cut that, and the rod then goes out into the lever like it is there. Usually doing that, you don't actually have to bleed the brakes, usually. However, looking at the master cylinder, it is a little bit low. It's not at the point where, because if it goes down as far as that pipe, then you suck air in. Now it hasn't done that, I don't think, but there just is not very much pedal travel. And I strongly believe that that's the cause. We won't know until we've done it, of course, but if nothing else, it's going to rule it out. But I'm pretty certain that that's what the issue is. So what I'm going to do before I take that off, because you always lose a little bit of fluid, what I'm going to do is I'm going to top that up, and then any fluid that it does get lost, it won't take it down as far as the pipe to suck air in. If we need to bleed it afterwards, then we will. So underneath there, the little rubber cap is the bleed nipple. If you need to bleed it, you need two people, unless you've got the expensive bits of kit to be able to do it with one person. I'd just be using a bleeding pipe, a container with brake fluid in, and then someone sits on the pedal, well, not sits on the pedal, someone sits in the car, and with some pedal pushing and undoing, bleeding, it will take any air out. But as I say, I don't think there's any air in there, so it may not be necessary. So I'm going to set you up in real time. I'll get the camera in there as best I can and film, and see if we can get this done, and hopefully this is going to sort it out. Right, okay, so first thing we do is remove the two 13mm nuts. I like to finish them off by hand and then gently take it out. And then you can see that's released it, and it's released the rod. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bradawl, and I'm going to tease out the circlip. Try to. Doesn't want to come out. Right, it's taken me about 20 minutes, half an hour to get that out, and I actually had to break the other one, the old one, to get it in. Oh, I need to get that now in there. That might be challenging. Yes, it's in. Right, it's in. Right, I've had to hammer that in, and I've lost loads of fluid. But it's in. So all I need to do now, I'll get these gloves off because I'm covered in fluid and it's slippery. Right, let's mop this up. Right, let's hope we can get this circlip in. Tap it with a... tap it with a hammer. There we go, that's in. Right, okay. What a nightmare that was. What an absolute nightmare. So this is normally the easy way of doing it, and it is still easier, even though, I mean, it was going to come out eventually, but that wasn't the ideal way of doing it. But it's solid and it's not losing fluid, so that's the main thing. So, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and zoom the camera in a bit more if I can. There we go. So I'm going to get the bolts back in. Now that pipe has pulled up a little bit, so we just need to push that back down out the way. Like that. Get those bolts in the right place before we let the lever go. Okay, right, let's do those up. Okay. Right, that should be okay, should be solid. So there it is, all plugged back in, and then we have to snip that at the end there. There's one underneath and one on the top, and then when we do that, it will let the arm out into the correct place. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab a pair of wire cutters, and we'll just cut that off, and you can see it go back in, and then we'll get on the clutch pedal and see what it feels like. Right, so that's now released in there. As you can see, there's that. I think it was out a lot more than that before, so chances are it was worn. So yeah, what we need to do now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and set the camera up here so you can see that, and then I'm going to get on the pedal, and hopefully you'll be able to see it pushing in and then pushing that lever. So let me just set you up. Right, I'm going to depress the clutch pedal. It might take a few goes. Oh, it feels all right. It feels perfect, and there's loads of travel. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it needs bleeding. We've got full pedal travel. Right, that's all back together now. I am going to take it for a spin, and hopefully it's going to be all right. So you can come with me for a little drive, and we'll do plenty of stopping and starting, pulling away in first, and see what happens. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's done the trick. Feels lovely. Perfect. Feels really smooth. Well, second was a little bit. Or was that just me? Don't know. But the clutch pedal feels nice. Yeah, it all feels good. Let's go down the gears. Yeah, it's not having any trouble coming out at first. We'll pull over again, stop in second, come out second. I'll take my foot off the clutch as if I'm at traffic lights, into first, pull away. Yeah, feels absolutely fine. So that looks like it's done it. Only time will tell, because I drove it last night and didn't really experience any issues until I got home and put it in reverse. In fact, let's pull over now. What we'll do now is we'll go to reverse, which works fine. We'll come out of reverse into first. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Registration number GI Joe, J11 Joe. Different. Now that was a bit, so, I mean, this is something that probably drivers shouldn't do, but as I was coming to a stop, I'm sort of put it into first, and that was quite stiff getting it into first. But I think that's probably because you're not supposed to drive like that, are you? Yeah, so it seems completely okay. There was, as I say, there was a couple of instances where I'm stopping in second, and just before you come to a halt, you go into first, which I think is generally what we do when we're driving. Which once or twice it was just a little bit, but I think you generally get that with most cars. To be honest, I think you're probably putting it into first too soon. But apart from that, absolutely fine. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that it's fixed it. But that is the end of this video. You're probably watching this video because you're having problems with your clutch or your fluid, or it's got a squeaky slave cylinder. That's why you're watching this video. So although I had problems with that, as you saw me struggling to get the pipe out, that's worst case scenario. Normally they come out quite easy. You get a little bradawl or a pick or something in there, get it underneath, and it pops up quite easy, and then the pipe will normally just sort of pull out. I know it was a bit of an effort on that occasion, but we got there in the end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, hit the button, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and until the next one, take care, stay safe, and we will see you soon.